Welcome to ITProTV. I'm your host, Don Pezet.
Coming at you live from San Francisco, California.
You're watching ITProTV.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to Iron Tech, the show where we pit two ITProTV edutainers head-to-head to find out who is the Iron Tech. That's right, we have shamelessly ripped off Iron Chef to turn this into a IT technical challenge. It's going to be a blast. I've got two great competitors with me here in the studio. I'm your host, Don Pezet, but let's learn a little bit more about who these chuckleheads are that we're going to be throwing against each other. We're going to start with, you know him, you love him, Mr. Mike Rodrick. Mike, come on out here. Mike is our first contestant on Iron Tech. And Mike, tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Hey, well, I'm Mike, an edutainer here at ITProTV. Primarily a Windows background, a little bit of security thrown in there, and even less Linux. So I'm really hoping that we get a Windows-based challenge out of the start. Give me a good start to the challenge.
You know, we did have some viewers suggest we use a Solaris machine, so we should be able to be right up your alley. We'll see how that goes. But you know who has a skill set that's a little different than yours?
I do.
Our other contestant, Mr. Justin Dennison. Justin, get out here. Woo! All right. So we got Mr. Justin. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, Justin here, another edutainer here at ITProTV. More of a programmer of sorts, but I've had to put on my sysops, my sysadmin hat, my relative other hats. Now, if it is Windows-based like Mike wants, there may not be a lot that I'm doing on this show. It'll be all Mike's show. But if it's Linux, Mac, maybe some web stuff, well, Mike, I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, I might have a little trouble there.
Yep.
We'll see.
Well, now I've known both of you guys for a long time. We've worked together here at ITProTV, and it was called into question whether or not I could fairly judge in between you two as to who was the winner of Iron Tech. So we have actually recruited a 3-judge panel that's going to be making the actual decision. They're right here in the studio with us, and they are going to be basically making the call. At the end of each challenge, they'll be kind of basically selecting, and each judge is going to assign a point. We'll determine the winner that way. So let's jump over there and get a chance to meet our judges. Now, our first judge, let's start in the end there with Ryan. Ryan, who the heck are you?
Hi there, I'm Ryan. I'm the product manager at ITProTV. I'm looking forward to this intense battle between our two competitors, but only one of you can come out on top. Good luck.
All right, and to Ryan's right, we have Barry.
Hi, I'm Barry. I'm the CCO at ITProTV, and both Justin and Mike are IT pros, but I see a little tension and a little bit of nerves over there, so this is going to be a really good competition.
All right, and last but not least, we have Miss Ashley.
Hi, everyone. I'm the edutainment manager here at ITProTV, so I get to watch Mike and Justin every day prepare for their episodes. It's going to be interesting to see how they really perform under some intense pressure. But I have an exciting thing to share, and that is that in this episode, I am also going to be the voice of the audience. I'm going to be keeping up with the live stream, and so if you have questions, comments, snide remarks, really good barbs that we need to throw in, please be sure to share those.
All right, and we do have a unofficial kind of fourth or fifth judge. I guess if the chat room is our fourth judge, our fifth judge is our live studio audience. So you can see behind the judges there, they've got signs, they've got excitement, they are, flowing all the way in. And so excellent participation there. We'll see how that goes. It looks like the signs are mostly appropriate.
I'm just glad there's glass between us and the audience.
Absolutely. We have to keep the ruffians out. All right, well, let's start off here with our rules. The rules for this, we are going to have a handful of challenges. We'll have to see how it goes timing-wise, but each challenge is basically going to be presented to you, and it's up to you to find a solution. There may be more than one solution. I don't really care how you solve the problem. It's about how you actually achieve your goal. The technique you use is up to you. Each of you, I imagine, will take different paths to solve these. Second rule, search engines, books, resources, phone a friend, whatever, it's all fair. Actually, we have no phones in here, but it's all fair game, so no resources are restricted from you unless stated in the challenge. Third rule, you're gonna have 10 minutes. 10 minutes to achieve a challenge, and then a winner will be selected based on that. Each judge is going to determine who they feel was the winner, and they'll assign a point. So 3 points are being assigned each round. We're going to try and go 3 rounds unless we run behind. And so that's our fifth rule. The winner is whoever has the most points after 3 rounds, or whenever the episode ends. we'll pick a winner one way or another. So that's what's going on. And with each challenge, I'm going to be handing you guys a USB key right here, which has the challenge files that are on it that we're going to start to work with. So I'm going to give these to you guys, and I think I just realized our first challenge of the day is going to be you only have USB-C ports because Steve Jobs hates you. And so,
hold on, Mike. Hold on. I come prepared whenever I need to be.
All right. How many dongles do you have in your pocket right now?
You know.
All right, well, let's jump into our first challenge. So challenge number 1 today is going to be a neat one. I asked both of you before the show to spin up a server in the cloud. And I didn't tell you what kind of server or what cloud to use. I didn't really care. Just whatever server you're most comfortable with. I have no idea what you guys spun up, but you did spin one up. Now I'm going to tell you what to do with it. Challenge number 1, I have a website. I have a theory that I need to get the word out there about. I need to host it somewhere. So what I want you to do is take the website that's found on that USB key in challenge number 1. It's got some HTML, some graphics files. I want you to dump those onto a web server. It has to be publicly available. Even people in the chat room should be able to browse the IP address of this machine. You don't have to do a domain name, just IP is fine. And they can get to it and pull up the page. So that's going to be our big challenge here for number 1. All right. There is a little bit of a secret ingredient because it just wouldn't be Iron Chef without this, right? So our secret ingredient today is PHP! Dun, dun, dun. So not just any web server, you've got to have PHP support in order to render the page properly. Otherwise, you're not going to get full credit for this challenge. So let's set that right there and remember, and let's get started. So 10 minutes on the clock and get to work. All right, now for you viewers out there, I'm kind of curious to see what happens. I know Mike's a Windows guy, so he's most likely spun up a Windows server. I can see a GUI, so I'm pretty sure.
I have, yep.
And Justin's a dev guy, so I'm expecting him to go on the Linux side. But let's start with you, Mike. So you're on Windows. And it looks like you have just jumped right into adding some roles on this one. So you had just a base Windows. Did you do 2016, 2012?
I did 2016 Data Center with a GUI, of course. And I am currently installing the role web server IIS. Pretty much going to do a default install here. I am using the GUI. As you see, I'm going to add a couple management features that I might need later. I'm not sure if I'll need those.
It's a good thing you did the Data Center edition, because why not use a $10,000 license to cover a simple web server? But, you know.
Absolutely. Why not, you know? You're paying for it.
Challenge didn't say, that's a good point. I didn't think about that one, did I? All right, so you're cranking along, getting IIS installed. That's going to take a minute. And when that's done, you're going to chuck the web pages in there?
Absolutely. You know, this is a great thing about using the GUI in Windows. I can sit back and let the wizard do the work, watch Justin type away.
Now, does PHP throw a wrench in things for you?
It does, absolutely, because I really have no idea. I'm going to do
no game plan on that one yet?
Okay. So, all right, in fact, I think I'll just jump over to my search engine and start looking that up while I'm waiting for IIS to finish the install.
All right, well, in the web files, you both will notice there's a index.html, which is just straight HTML, should work on about anything. Okay. There is also a index.php. That's the one I want you to use as your home page, so we'll actually be able to see the content. And there's a little bit of dynamic text that'll pop up as a result of that. So, Mike, I'm going to let you get to it, mostly because what you're doing is boring. But we're going to jump over to Justin and see what's going on here. Justin, looks like you are, you picked a Linux server. What type of server are you using?
I'm using Amazon Linux. I'm in AWS, so hopefully that will play to my advantage. I've done this a little bit. You know, I will say, SCP, not my favorite thing. I never can remember them. I always have to look them up. So we'll see how that goes. But hopefully PHP doesn't wreck my day.
Yep, so getting the website, or getting the web server up and going, that's one thing, but then you've got to get the web files copied over to it. So that's why he's messing around with SCP. And I'll tell you, I've been in the same boat. That's not a fun one. It's almost, well, I want to give you a hint on ways to transfer files into it, but it is a pain in the butt. I totally agree. All right, well, I'm going to leave you to that, and let's take a look, or we'll step over and talk to the judges for a moment and get their take on this. Standing up a web server is something that is expected of a lot of IT professionals, mostly because web services are kind of a given aspect of any kind of company. So, Ryan, poised with this challenge, you know, what are you expecting to see from the contestants?
Well, I'm expecting to see great quality work. I'm hoping the website has got some functionality. Our members are going to take a look at it, and so I want people to really just know what our edutainers are capable of in a short amount of time.
Excellent. And Barry?
I just noticed that Mike was off to a fast start with using Windows, but now he seems to be slowing up, trying to load PHP a little bit.
Yeah.
The struggle there a little bit, but Justin, he's just going crazy like Elton John on a piano.
We need to get him some of those fancy sunglasses.
Yeah.
Well, we have some curiosity coming in from the chat. Mike, why didn't you choose to use the Windows Core operating system?
Why did I not go with Core? Because I didn't want to have to do all this from the command line like we see Justin. I wanted to take advantage of my GUI as much as possible because that's where I'm comfortable.
That's a horrible decision.
Probably going to bite me in the you-know-what. We will see. Now I'm working on getting the files up to said web server, so we're going to see how that goes here.
Well, let's see here. There's one. I already have the index.html up and going, Mike. Where are you at?
Mike kind of at a disadvantage because people keep asking him questions.
Yeah, that's what it is.
All right, now.
I do actually have a question for Justin as well. How many other dongles do you have in your pocket?
It is. It's a secret. I'll say it's a secret.
Man's got his secrets.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, since you've actually managed to get your web server up, would you mind sharing what your IP address is so that people in the home audience can actually check? You know, we say shows like this are live, but wouldn't it be neat to check? Look at that IP. That is cool.
That is a cool IP.
You gotta save that one.
3.215.23.55.
All right, 3.215.23.55. If you are out there in real, well, I didn't see if you set up a security group or anything. Is Port 80 open?
Port 80 is open, otherwise I wouldn't be able to get here because, right, what good's a web server without access to Port 80?
All right, well, you're getting a chance to see my website briefly there, which is The Moon is Hollow. It's the new conspiracy theory that is raging across the country. You may have seen it in Daniel and I's, or no, it was, I don't know, one of our dark web webinars that we did, so I brought that one back. The web page that he just showed, though, was just HTML, so that was what was coming up. It didn't have the PHP text animation. It's not even animation, really, just text rendering. So he's still got to get PHP up and going. Now, what I suspect, and we'll have to see if this is true, is that for Justin, I think he's already gotten past the hard part on this. PHP is not that hard to activate, and he's probably just going to Google a guide on that one and get it turned on. For Mike, it's almost the opposite. For him, getting the files in should be the easier part.
That part is done.
And then getting PHP activated is the hard part. And that's because Microsoft made the decision to do, what, ASPX, whatever, their own little thing, and so we'll see where that goes. So it looks like you are, wow, Mike, it's almost like you're handicapping yourself using Bing instead of Google, and instead of letting you ride on that, I'm going to put the pressure on you.
Oh, well, you know, it's not looking too good here.
But you did get the website up.
The website is up and running. That was pretty straightforward. You know, using remote desktop and enabling access to the local drive was easy enough to copy the files over. So that part was not bad at all. But I think you are right with the good old IE. I'm actually running IE because that was the default on here.
Do you want to lose?
And evidently I do.
All right, well, for Mike, I actually can see his IP address right here. If you want to check out his web server, it's 40.77.62.132. You should be able to punch that IP address in your web browser. We're not worried about SSL. That wasn't part of the challenge. So just HTTP. You should be able to pull up his page and see that Moon page. And then he is working on the PHP side of things right now. It's probably loading index.html. You can try index.php, and it more than likely won't load until they get those PHP libraries running. Now, we have 3 minutes and 20 seconds left on our clock, so the challenge is moving into the final third here, kind of winding down. I'm pleased to see that both of them have their websites up, but it's interesting because of the different servers they've picked. In Apache, Mike, he's actually going in the right direction now. You have to use this crazy library thing to install PHP that Microsoft makes available. It's really super annoying. You can't just download and click on a file. For Justin, he's got to install PHP extensions, and so he's I think maybe already got that loaded. And so it looks like what you're are you working on getting the index.php to be the default page?
Yep.
Going the extra mile. Look at that. In the challenge, I didn't necessarily specify that the PHP page had to be the default, but it's certainly a nice touch. And so he's going to make it where when you browse to his IP, you'll automatically get the PHP version of that. All right, well, I'm going to give them a moment since they're both typing away furiously. We'll give them a break. Let's go back to our judges panel. And how's the chat room reacting? How are you guys reacting? What do you think of the challenge so far?
Well, it's interesting seeing both pages come together in such a relatively short amount of time. From this stance, it looks pretty good, but out in TV land, folks are curious. Justin, why did you choose AWS to begin with?
It's something I'm familiar with. I know that it works fairly quickly. I'm also familiar with Linux for the most part, and so that's always been fun for me. So I went with AWS for those variety of reasons.
At this point, it seems like Justin is moving ahead of Mike on getting his loaded.
Yeah, and folks are noticing that neither of these sites are secure, which was not necessarily part of the challenge, but definitely not a best practice, right?
Right, we've got a 10-minute window for this challenge, and trying to issue, maybe a self-signed certificate, we could probably pull that one off, but I know in both browsers, or in both web servers, it's not exactly the quickest and easiest thing to configure, so we left that one out to see, try and make it fair, try and make it where everybody can achieve the goal. I'm actually really kind of just pleased that the sites are already up, which is nice. Getting PHP going, that takes a little extra time. Getting SSL would require that extra step. Absolutely a best practice though, and you could even do like a Let's Encrypt certificate, so it's free to do an encrypted web server these days, so you might as well do it. All right, looks like both of you are moving along. Justin, you're installing some extra extensions there to get yours up and going.
Yeah, I had to get my CGI processor for my PHP interpreter in Nginx. So I'm hoping that I can get this up and going here just shortly. But we are low on time, aren't we? Yeah.
Yep. Final 30 seconds are ticking down. This is the pressure moment. Mike has ended up in the... I thought you were in the Microsoft knowledge base, but you're somewhere else.
I am.
Again, most likely because of Bing, but
They do. They like to hide their own stuff. I don't know if they feel like it's a proprietary or they're going to look like they're favoring their own. But they do seem to hide results that go back to their own domain.
They've probably flagged them as unsafe sites. It's oh, you tried to get to the Microsoft knowledge base. That's a compromised site. All right, well, we are in a final 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands off the keyboard. I saw, Justin, you were just about to do a restart there, so you were probably dangerously close.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, both excellent showing, overcoming getting the files into the server. Looked like we got pretty close to achieving our goal. Let's see. So, Mike, where did you end up on yours?
Well, I got the website installed, the normal one without the PHP. I was unsuccessful at getting PHP installed. I had downloaded PHP, extracted everything out, was starting to modify those INI files to get it to work with IIS, but that's where I failed. And then I heard you saying that Justin had already switched it over, so it was using the PHP by default. So I renamed my original index.old, so it would load index.php, which now you can see is a complete failure.
Oh, you broke your web server. Yep, time management's an essential skill for an IT technician.
It is.
So, wah, wah. All right, well, Justin, how'd you end up?
Well, I broke things right here at the last minute trying to push over so index.html, it works. I got that up there pretty quickly after I had to look up SCP commands, which you probably shouldn't use, but I knew them and I went with them. So had all that, and I was trying to set up fast CGI for Nginx. I just chose Nginx and could not get the interpreter up and running for PHP and connected. I actually broke the Nginx service on the first restart and was getting ready to change some things. So I don't think mine works either right now. Actually, let's take a look here.
Nice.
It's broke. It's broke.
Great. All right. Well, it's interesting. You both went directions that I wouldn't have gone. So, there's always different options to complete. I mean, I'm sure I would have done it right, but I would have just gone to like a DigitalOcean guide and followed whatever they told me. But you know whose opinion matters here? The judges panel. So let's go to our judges, and you guys have a challenge in front of you here because basically you're measuring who's the winner of the losers, right? Neither of our contestants managed to get PHP. They both did have the web server up and going for a brief while. So let's jump over, and Ryan, we'll start with you. What's your emotion, your feeling? Where are we at?
Well, the three of us combined have over 2 decades of experience, and so it really could have gone either way. I gotta say though, since Mike got it up and going, Mike's in it to win it. My vote's for Mike.
There we go.
All right, 1 point, Mike. Barry?
I'm going to have to go the opposite way. I'm going with Justin. Anybody who's using Bing, just you lose points right off the get-go. Mike, you did well, but Justin is my winner on this one.
All right, tie ball game.
All right, to me, this just felt like one of those bad movies where you go in and it starts off nicely, you feel good, and then they pull the rug out from under you and you leave the theater feeling sad and empty. That's how I feel right now. But given that I know that Justin's PHP background and his basically coding and development really gave him the advantage, and I feel like given that extra second, he might have gotten a little bit further. So for me in the chat, Justin wins.
All right. Well, I know my vote doesn't count, but Justin did get his webpage up first, so that's good. I agree with I concur with the judge's opinion. So at this point, we have a game. 2 points, Justin. 1 point, Mike. Let's move on to our next challenge. Okay. All right. Don't close that server. You need that server because challenge number 2. Your boss comes to you, and you are experiencing rapid expansion. You have hired 150 new employees, and we need to get user accounts created for them. So on your USB key is a CSV file, also in XLS and Excel. I put it in both formats with 150 user accounts. Username, first name, last name, password, that kind of information is all right there in that file. I need you to import those as local users on that server. Now, Justin, you went with Linux, so just local users is all you got anyway. Mike, you've got Windows, not Active Directory accounts. They would just local Windows users. I don't care if they're enabled or disabled. We just want to see 150 user accounts created from that CSV file. So, challenge though. There's always got to be a secret ingredient. Secret ingredient is unsanitized data. That's right. Your boss didn't take the time, being me, to make sure that the CSV was error-free or the Excel file. So data may be in an unclean state. You'll definitely want to check that out. Stinky trash can, that's your CSV file. So get to work.
All right, here we go.
All right,
here we go.
such enthusiasm and energy. Everybody's pumped up.
Yeah, well, I feel like I'm at a horrible disadvantage for this because this is not really something I do.
Well, you know,
so much.
I will tell you that I was feeling really good until he said local users. And then I was like, wait a second. There goes my new -80 user command right out the window.
So, you know, Wes Bryan, one of the other entertainers here, and I were talking about this challenge ahead of time, and I just couldn't find a good way to have you with like a pre-prepared Active Directory, and you can't stand up a domain controller in 10 minutes. That would be a whole other challenge.
I would have done it.
So I didn't know how to create local users myself, so I decided to see how long it would take me to figure it out. And there is actually a very easy way to create local users. You'll probably stumble upon it on your own. I'll let you discover that.
All right,
but
will do.
Creating 150 local Windows users, not really a normal task, right?
No, not, well, I mean, not local users, correct. You know, domain users, yeah, done that before, all the way back to Server 2000 using CSVDE or LDivDE, but yeah, not local users.
All right,
local users.
I'm going to give you some time here to get out and experiment. I see you've launched Google, so you've already got a leg up on this challenge.
Well, after Barry ripped me for using Bing, I want to make sure I get his vote this time.
All right, let's step over and take a look at Justin. Now, Justin is on a Linux server, and there are a number of different ways to import users. Looks like you are, you're recycling your SCP commands there to get the CSV uploaded.
Yeah, and I actually ran, I love it. Kill. I ran my the CSV through pandas and spit out a new CSV. That way, maybe I can get rid of some of those errors.
Now, I'm not familiar with pandas. Is that it just validates the data somehow?
So it's a Python tool that's meant to read and write and help with like what's called data munging. So it is meant to help clean data and manipulate data. So we'll see if my intuitions work for me, or if I just made a lot of work for myself. So we'll see.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to let you get to it. I know Mike is trying to figure out his game plan on this one. Do remember that I don't really care if the web server is working by the end of this one. It's just about getting 150 users imported into that local user database to be our champion. We got 7.5 minutes left. While we're giving the contestants a break, let's jump over to our judges and see how they feel about this challenge. A little bit more technical, a little bit more off the beaten path of our normal tasks. What do you guys think?
I'll start out. I know that dirty data is a touchy subject, and it looks like both contestants, Kinsey and Mike, have started out with cleaning up their data first. It's probably the route I would have gone.
Yeah, I think that Mike has a leg up on this one, definitely. He's moving it. I'm watching what he's doing here, and he's moving right along.
Shall see.
Yeah, and it looks like the chats with Mike, too. Huge fans of using PowerShell to achieve a task like this. But Justin's not out of this one yet. I'm rooting for you.
Yeah, you know, in building this challenge, I felt like if I had picked Active Directory users, I know Mike does that as part of the MCSE training that we have at ITProTV. So I kind of felt like he already knew how to achieve that goal and probably could have done it without even using a search engine. Making it a local user added a little more challenge to him. On the Linux side, I know that that's typically how we do an import, unless you have like Open LDAP. But I also know that Justin doesn't normally import users like that. But it looks like you have a plan in place. You are having to feed that through. Oh, you were breaking out the heavy hitters here. He's feeding it through awk, so he's doing some text manipulation. I'm really curious where that's going.
Me too. Me too. I think I need to. Here we go. Let's just do this. My goodness, let's not. Here we go. So I'm gonna back up. Can't remember awk things. So, wow, that is wonderful.
All right, for you viewers at home, if you're wondering what Justin is dealing with here, it's a pretty standard CSV that has things like first name, last name, full name, a password field, and password fields can be a little tricky if they contain commas, quotes, curly braces, things like that. Those are things that can kind of break a password, and so if you import it, then it can show up as a separate CSV field or whatever. Now, I did include an XLS copy of the same data, but Excel doesn't really help you with that problem either, because when you go to import, you're going to be in the command line. So they're both trying to sift through that to make sure the data is clean. The other hard part is you don't necessarily know the data is clean until you actually do the import. So when you do the import, if there's a problem, you may get, say, 20, 30 users in and it errors out. Some systems will roll back the whole import so you can fix it and go. Some systems don't. So now you've got to remove the users that successfully imported and then take another stab at the remaining part. So they're both taking a look at some different examples that are out there and using their Google friends. Justin just got the big advantage over there on Stack Overflow. That's the place people go for real answers. Mike is following a guide from who is that? Kevin Kavanaugh. So other users have experienced this before. So he's going at it. Looks like there's a PowerShell command called import-csv that he's taking a look at. Yep. So we'll see that go. And just fired up the PowerShell ISE. So when you're using new commands or commands you're not really familiar with, the ISE helps you check your syntax. So great use of tools there. We'll see if that pays off. Mm-hmm. Now, we are just a bit over halfway on this challenge at 4 minutes and 16 seconds. Unlike the web server challenge, we're not actually going to have a really good idea of how successful they are until the end. It's kind of one of those things where either the import runs or it doesn't. Now, with that in mind, if they're not able to import these user accounts in the 10-minute window that we've given them, how are we going to pick who the winner is? So let's go over to our judges and see what they think as far as their selection criteria. Ryan, what are you looking for in a winner for this type of contest?
I want clean data. So for me, it's going to be important to be 100% accurate. Anything less?
149 users is a loser, 150 is a winner, right?
Got to be accurate.
Excellent.
I think if they get through and get an installation at this point with timing running out, I can tell pressure's getting to both of them with time and what they're getting done. But Justin has really picked up the pace, and it looks like he's getting closer and closer to getting this done.
If nothing else, Justin is certainly switching screens faster than anyone else. I'm about to have a seizure here just because it keeps changing back and forth. But I'll persevere for the show, dedication to our viewers. Ashley, what are your thoughts?
Well, our chat is definitely concerned about the safety of both of our contestants. They're recommending gloves and all kinds of prophylactics for dealing with dirty data, which is a very real part of everyone's life. I have to concur with my other judges on the panel that this is an all or nothing kind of challenge. It works or it doesn't. I'd be curious what security precautions they took when they initially opened this file and if they were as careful as they should have been in handling it in the first place.
You know, I could probably get Mike talking a good bit and distract him on whether or not there's any security exploits that can be taken advantage of inside of a CSV. I'm sure there's something that's out there. CSVs are pretty safe. The Excel file, that one's a little more dangerous. Although I don't think either of you are using the Excel file, right?
I think I just open the CSV.
Yeah, that would require Excel.
Macro's bad.
which I don't have.
Oh, which you don't have on the server.
you know,
Well, that was pointless.
and
so.
the Excel viewer has been
Deprecated.
I believe. Yeah. So
All right, so the
wasn't an option.
The CSV is normally going to be the way to go on this stuff, so it's an interesting one. You guys are churning along on that. Now, I can tell you guys out there in TV land that an exercise like this is not necessarily something we would do in the real world, but it is indicative of the weird things that we get exposed to in IT. A lot of times a challenge will get thrown on your table that it's not a game show, it's something you have to overcome that is just different than anything that you've had to do before. Reaching out, using Google, locating tools, that's important. They're experimenting on their live production server. In real life land, we do this in a test environment. This is where the cloud is also a handy one because you can throw the server away and try it again. Justin is shaking his head. Things are not looking great.
I love it. I just accomplished.
All right, and oh my goodness. So all right, well we are close.
Close, right? Yeah, we're getting there.
So
we're
Mike
making
has,
progress.
I don't know if we saw it on the screen there,
show
but
that again.
Mike has managed to import the users, but it looks like the password is the username.
You said security was not an issue here, right? So I mean, if your password and your username are the same,
all right. So
makes it easy, right?
Technically, the challenge is importing 150 users.
That's right.
I didn't necessarily say the fields had to be correct, right?
Exactly.
So Justin, I think the heat.
Justin's going to start a loop now.
The heat is really on. He has managed to import data just incorrectly, so we'll see where that goes. Or maybe it's just the display name that's wrong and the actual username is right. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah, so we will see where that goes. And we are ticking down to the last 30 seconds. I might shift this challenge just a little bit. I don't know if it'll help you guys. If you need to exclude the password field, I know some servers won't let you import a password or will gripe about that. So if you need to exclude the password field, you can, and then give that the import. Let's see if we can get these accounts created. I'll leave you guys be for the last seconds here. We've got about 15 seconds on the timer, so it's certainly crunch time. And again, for you guys out there, our secret ingredient on this one was unsanitized data. I don't think I have ever in my entire life received a CSV from somebody that didn't have at least one error in it, and it's a pain in the tuchus. So that's the official tech term for that. So having to sift through that data is always a challenge, but it's a reality. All right, well, it looks like we have ticked down to our final second. So hands off the keyboard. Let's see where we ended up. Now, Mike, you showed some real promise there. You imported some data. Where did you end up?
I didn't get nearly. You said there was how many users?
150.
And when I look at my computer management, I am not seeing 150 users. So I failed somewhere. Now, I really didn't get a chance to look at the data. I was just getting the command to work to start that import process, try to figure out what you meant by dirty data and see where the errors are. And then when I saw the password show up as a username, that really threw me for a loop. So now I was going back to square one, checking my script, trying to see where I made a typo there.
Sure.
Maybe I imported the wrong field.
You're certainly close. The full names are right.
Yep.
The usernames are wrong. And let me ask you, do you know how many are on your screen right now? Does it tell you?
That's what I was going to try to count up. I don't think it'll show me how many I have selected.
Okay, I want to say the MMC defaults to 50 results unless you change its default value. So you might have actually imported more and it's just not showing up. I could be wrong on that too. But either way, looks like there's some stuff in there. So that's some progress. Let's jump over to Justin and see where he ended up. It was a lot harder to track you because of the switching screens. So what did you achieve?
Well, I got in the zone and man, I about went into full NASCAR mode right there. So I found new users that should let me reformat the data, bring it in. However, I spent a good majority of my time trying to reformat the data so I could just slurp it in. I forgot a group ID, and at the last moment, I actually ran the command and it failed because I forgot to assign groups to all my users, and I didn't have time to go back and add a group ID. So I have 0 users other than, the users that are already on the machine.
Yeah, those don't really count. So,
I mean, there's close to 150 there. Whatever. Yeah.
See, now if you had used Ubuntu, there'd be over 150 by default.
Yeah, there would have. But I knew when you said we had 15 seconds, I was like, I got to go and find it. Yep.
All right. Well, we have varying degrees of failure this time, so it's not. Well, I guess we had varying degrees last time. So we got consistency, which counts for something. Let's see what that counts for with our judges. Ryan, what do you think?
It's a little underwhelming. The tech was undercooked, maybe a little salty. But we do got to pick a winner. So Mike, it's not you. Justin. I like the way he went and tried to clean it up, make sure he got the data clean before importing it.
All right, and kudos to Ryan on his reality TV judge performance. That is spot on, absolutely. I think you got a new career ahead of you. Let's jump over to Barry and see what he thinks.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with Ryan. At least we got some data imported and using Google.
Right, yeah.
Was key right off
your
the bat.
advice, Judge.
And I think you led the whole way on this, Mike, so I'm going with Mike.
You know, he demonstrated agility, willingness to take suggestions from others. Like, these are all valuable assets in the tech.
I listen.
Another valuable asset is actually successfully completing the assignment, but
It's overrated.
Aside from that. All right, let's jump over to Ashley.
As I think back to one of my dear colleagues who was a statistician, step one, you must clean the data. And so seeing that was an initial step really, really made me happy with the beginning of this challenge. But in the end, we were not successful. The chat points out that, Mike, you might have saved a little bit of time if you had used some Visual Studio Code. But otherwise...
that's a great point, and had I been able to prepare this machine a little more, definitely would have put that on there. But unfortunately, I was stuck with the default install of Windows, so PowerShell ISE was my only choice there.
I'm using Vim and Awk over here, trying to use Visual Studio Code.
This is why we love Windows, right?
Yeah, sure.
So on your side, Justin, now it's a little harder. Like in Windows, there are PowerShell applets for doing this stuff. You just have to figure out which ones they are. Mm-hmm. On the Linux side, I'm not familiar of a bulk import command. So were you going like the bash script route, or what was your approach?
What I actually found was there's a subtool of PASSWD called New Users that you can pipe in a stream of formatted user commands or user fields like are in Etsy password. So I was trying to rearrange everything, forgot the group ID. That should have slurped it up and added all those users, but I didn't have it clean and quite right, so oopsie daisy.
All right, well, that's the joy of being an IT professional. Now, we do have a third challenge, but...
we didn't get the last vote, I don't think.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Shoot.
Before
I thought we got the vote.
move on, we got to know.
Drum roll.
I like Mike.
Woohoo!
All
That's
right.
what I'm talking about.
Well, that puts us in an interesting situation because we do have a tie ball game and we don't have enough time to go on to our next challenge. So let's mix things up a little bit with a special challenge that we'll see if this is easy or hard. On your local machine. So let's take the cloud out of the picture on this one. We don't need Azure, AWS, whatever. On your local machine, I want you to draw me a picture. All right, now let's set some kind of time on this. Let's do a 2-minute timer. You've got 2 minutes to draw me a picture. I don't care what tool you use. I don't care what...
Wait, we're starting? I see him over there typing.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I was like, he didn't say nothing.
Start!
Tell you what.
I'm a professional. What do you want from me?
All right, that's all right. I don't know, with my artistic skills, I should be able to come back from that slight little challenge there. So we got
what
that.
tool are you using? I figured you'd go for Microsoft Paint.
I thought about that, but I have a program called Simple Diagrams that we've used here a long time in IT, creating our diagrams for a lot of the shows we produce for you guys. And I'm just used to it. I'm comfortable with it, so I think I'm going to stick with that.
All right, well, excellent. I'll stop distracting you because you're just drawing boxes that disappear. Right now. So he's using Simple Diagrams. Interesting choice, but he's also making use of a touch screen, which should make the drawing process a heck of a lot easier. And, touch screens like that are commonplace in computers, except, oh wait, Justin, you don't have a touch screen on yours because Steve Jobs hates you.
Yeah, he does.
And
I don't have a Wacom tablet in my pocket, so I guess I'm going to have to go with giant trackpad.
All right, now, what tool are you using?
I'm going to use an online tool because I also do not have a drawing application on my computer. Who draws?
They don't put MS Paint in Mac OS?
No, I guess I could make it really fast.
Maybe that'll be the next feature in Mac OS. That'll make it the greatest Mac OS ever. That's how they announce it. So, challenges like these are fun because when you have different computers, you have different tool sets that are available. You don't necessarily know. Well, with these two guys, I have no idea. I'm just glad if they draw a picture that's appropriate for the screen. We've had some interesting ones.
It could be iffy from time to time.
All right, so I'm going to let you guys go at it. We are winding down to the final 10 seconds here. I was going to go to the judges for comments, but we'll kind of stick it through here.
10 seconds.
Mike,
10 seconds.
2 minutes flies by when you. What the heck are you
I don't know,
doing, Justin? I said 10 seconds, totally sabotaged, Justin. We are definitely getting creative on this one. Mike's used a 0-point line that's barely visible, and it looks like our timer is up. That is the end of our challenge. Let's. I don't know.
Can I change my background?
Would it make it more visible?
Yes. Watch. Wait.
Yeah. Well, that worked. All right, well, we can at least barely see it. If we take a look at Mike's computer, we'll see the beautiful rendering that he has done of a stick person throwing a baseball and...
Don, that's actually you. That's my homage to you. The microphone happens to be white, so it disappeared into the background.
I'm going to call shenanigans.
Let me get that off.
I'm going to call shenanigans.
So have we had like voter tampering? Is that...
The microphone's white.
Well, looks like you went with something similar. Is that a face? I'm going to guess this is Beast Boy?
No, you're close. It's the ITProTV troll, right? So it's got the IT, it's got a mouth, it's got the big old troll ears, it's got a weird troll head hair thing.
I see that, except
see?
I'm expecting hair that's sticking up for a troll. So
see, you're just stereotyping trolls.
Now, you said the ITProTV troll like that's a thing. Like that's something that pre-existed.
I just made it up.
All right, so for the viewers at home who are wondering, it's certainly not a thing. Maybe it is now, though. Who knows? We'll do a Kickstarter and make troll dolls and get sued for it. All right.
Not with that face, hopefully.
Drawing a picture, not the hardest job. You know what's going to be a hard job? Judging this train wreck right here. So let's jump over to our 3-judge panel. And guys, I don't even know what to tell you on this one. So how do you arbitrarily assign a point either way? Let's start with Ryan. What do you make of this?
I would like to submit my 2-year-old's drawing as a late entrance into the competition.
Speaking of trolling.
So this was tough. I think the lack of a touch screen is really a hard thing to overcome. I think my toothbrush has a touch screen now. But Justin really overcame adversity, and the choice of the thicker line really just
smart decision.
It's a good point.
It's something.
Yeah, he at least demonstrated a presentation skill in knowing your audience and using a thicker line, so that works out really well. All right, so with that in mind, let's move over to Barry. What's your opinion?
Both are disturbing from my point of view on this, but I'm going to go with Mike with the IT Pro heart. He puts the love there for ITProTV,
Passion,
so I'm sticking with the branding there.
All right, so proper capitalization of letters and things, it all counts.
Right, that's part.
I guess
that's
Justin
part.
yours are capitalized too. We'll give you that. All right. Well, Ashley, what do you and the chat room think?
Well, I got to say that I think what I'm looking at here is some potential nightmare material. Thanks for that. But if I have to pick one, on the one hand, I love the inadvertent diversity that you're showing me here with the IT Pro character that you've made, Mike. But there's something creepy and appealing about the IT troll. Justin, I got to give it to you. Congratulations.
All right. See, a little bit of imagination will carry you along.
And I thought sucking up to the host might do me a favor.
No one likes a brown nose.
Well, unless you're on the receiving end of the favors, right? Then it works out well. All right, well, that does serve as a great tiebreaker from our actual IT challenges, and it looks like we have 5 points over here for Justin, 4 points for Mike. Mike, that does make you first place amongst the group of losers. So excellent demonstration of lack of skill.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
And so that worked out really well. Good demonstration. Although, kudos to you for pulling off most of the important.
It's been a lot of fun, Don. I've enjoyed my time here. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to continue on in IT. I'm not going to take this as a setback. I'll use this to motivate me to continue on and just strive to be better at drawing.
And if there was anything you could have done different in any of the challenges, like what would you have changed?
I probably would have started with Google. I would not have started with Bing, and I think I could have had Barry's vote, and that might have changed the whole thing. And then, my drawing, I am going to have to use a bigger brush.
And put a mouth on.
Yeah. Yep. A bigger brush that could have turned the tides. This could have been a W.
Yeah. Or draw the judges instead of you. That's probably the biggest lesson.
Smart. Or giving me pants that didn't have booties attached. Well, one or the other. I don't know. All right, Justin, you have emerged victorious. How does it feel to be the first official IT Pro TV Iron Tech?
Well, I'll tell you, it's a really good feeling, and I was afraid because if you're not first, you're last. So I'm glad I came away with this win. I will say, looking back on the first challenge, I probably could have decimated Mike a little more by just picking the lamp stack install instead of going to Nginx, and then I could have just moved that stuff over and been done really quickly. But hindsight's 2020. I guess I'm going to have to work on my admin skills and importing users because that's bothering me, Don, and I'm going to have to figure it out. But at least I didn't import passwords as usernames and usernames as passwords. So that's the key takeaway. And I have a wonderful mascot that will follow me around for the rest of my days.
We'll have to get that printed on some shirts and wear it with pride. Honestly, I designed these challenges, and I worked with Wes Bryan and a few other people to help me kind of get them tuned. I felt that you had the leg up on the import because you're a developer, you're running a single command line over and over. It seemed like iterations, that would be right up your alley. Turned out it wasn't. So, that happens. And
I mean, there's a bunch of ways. I could have broke out Python. Whatever.
Yeah. And I thought that Mike had the leg up on the PHP challenge because Microsoft does have that easy installer for PHP now, but complications of using a cloud server just shows that things are not always as easy as they seem. So, excellent showing from both of you. I appreciate you coming out here on the show and taking a risk, right? You didn't know what the challenge was. I did have 2 more challenges, just if we had time. The third one I was really looking forward to.
I probably would have won that one.
I set up it was supposed to be your grandmother's machine. Every IT guy, when you go home for the holidays, you visit family, what's the first thing they say? Can you take a look at my computer? And I don't want to make you do work stuff, but can you look at my router? So I took a machine and I infected it with some adware, which was a lot of fun. It had coupon programs and Bonsai Buddy, which I didn't even know was still a thing, but it is. Wow. And so we were going to try and clean that one. I might take that one somehow and see if I can share that with the viewers. They can go through a challenge like this, see what they can get done in 10 minutes. Could be a lot of fun. All right, well, before we wind this one down, let's jump back over to our judges panels. Do you have any final encouraging words or comments for our contestants and our viewers?
Well, Justin, the winner, there's an elevator behind you. Catch your career because you're headed up, buddy.
I think if they had more time, they probably would have gotten through these challenges, and because I know they're both experts in their field, so good job, guys.
We'll be having a professional development discussion tomorrow.
Barry brings up a great point. Working under a time constraint, working under pressure, that's hard stuff. You may find that 10 minutes just sitting at your own desk, you could achieve that challenge a lot easier. In this scenario, though, you didn't have that benefit. So, again, kudos to you guys for competing. And thank you to everybody out there watching. But for now, that's going to be a wrap for our Iron Tech segment. I had a lot of fun doing this. I think you guys did too. I think we should do this again. So I think we'll look maybe in the next few weeks to do another Iron Tech, see what we can rope in. So if you have ideas for challenges or comments or whatever, please shoot them over to us and we'll see about putting something together. Could be a lot of fun. All right, well, thank you, judges, and I want to do an extra thank you for all the fans out there in our live studio audience. Some of these signs, it has been hard for me not to get distracted. Fear the Beard is an impressive one, which Taylor is so tall, it is off the top of the camera. But so good ones, and and Barry, excellent. So, all right, well, let's wrap this one up. Thank you from me and everyone here at IT Pro TV. Don't go anywhere. We have more IT Pro TV Live Week coverage coming up. In fact, I've got to hustle and get over to the other studio so I can come back into the other one because it's all live. It's fun. So stay tuned for that. But that's a wrap for Iron Tech. Signing off for IT Pro TV. I've been Don Pezet with Mike and Justin and everyone else. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching IT Pro TV.